Hello, Lions Den people. I come before you today. Well, actually, we come before you every week with something new, something that should be thought.
You can't say that because you know we have missed out on some days this month. So,
but when we start these, they're gonna be consistent.
I see. I gotta just let people know, like, you ain't come every week though. You know, Miss Craig took off like a month or two. But go ahead, Mr. Craig. Go ahead. You good. We let Miss Craig do it. Go ahead, Miss Craig.
Lions Den, we come before you every week talking about conversations that should be thought-provoking. Today, Brother Kyle brought before me today something called church hurt. I have never heard that in my life. But then he started breaking it down, so we're going to break it down in front of you today. Brother Kyle, give me your definition of what church hurt means.
My definition of church hurt is right here is people are inside church.
Yeah.
Being mean to other people. And then people coming into church, when they come into church, they're meeting these mean people and think it's the whole entire church that hurt them. Church hurt.
Got it. That makes sense, Kyle. That makes sense. Now, my only response to that is something simple. Not every church is meant for every person. When I go into a church, guess what? I'm listening to see the spirit, if the spirit is there, if the pastor and the elders are preaching the appropriate word, and if I am comfortable in that particular church. Now, I've been in this church for 50-something years. This is the amphitheater of Church of the Master in Atlanta, Georgia, off MLK. Welcome.
2201 Young Road, Stone Mountain, Georgia, Berean Christian Church, Dr. Karen B. Lee. There you go.
Yeah, that is a good vessel, a good ship for good Christians also. However, we're at Church of the Master. And what we do here, and like other churches, is listen, when you are out there looking for a church home, a home, which is really what it is, like your own home, you're looking to see if you're around like-minded people, people who love the Lord, who are there to serve and not be served. Now, what I think what you're running across is...
But not me, because
Not
the
you.
2201 Stone Mountain, Berean Christian Church, teaching Dr. Karen B. Lee. Go ahead.
I think what you might have experienced or heard about are those people who are there to be served.
Yes, sir.
Yes, always. Now, when I grew up, that was Big Mama. I thought Big Mama might have been a little nasty. But as I got older,
What year was that?
that was back in the day. Back in the day, Big Mama was the one who always had that big hat on, always gave you that look. And if that didn't straighten you out, that pinch got you right.
You got pinch back in the day?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, they wasn't paddling. Well, they were paddling, but that pinch was there.
We got here with bricks.
Huh?
We got here with bricks. Yeah.
No, they don't do that. But I thought that they were me. But as I grew older, I realized Big Mama, Elder, Deacon, and all those folks were teaching discipline. It didn't deform me bad because eventually I understood why I was there. I wasn't going to bring that street stuff into their church. Now, what I try to throw out there to everybody out there listening to this is, listen, if you go to a church and it doesn't feel right to you, if they're preaching, and I always use this example, if they're preaching worshiping snakes,
Only thing you got to do this right here.
and do that and go and find you someplace else to worship. Now, what happens? Do you stop worshiping because you were disappointed at one church? No. If you like a Ford Fusion, but you would rather be in a Rolls Royce, do you stop driving because you can't afford that Rolls Royce or that Volkswagen? You keep working until you get to a church that you like, that you love, that the word is being spoken. That's my explanation for church hurt. What do you think?
I think I'm very proud of you for actually starting out the video the way you did. I'm very proud of you. As y'all see, I am coaching Mr. Craig Costen at his ripe, tender age to get the motivation, to get everything inside him right now. So you're looking at one of my students right here. But I look at it and I love what you just said. But Mr. Craig, now I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
The question I want to ask you is, and these go to, you already know, five years walking with God, ex-dope boy.
Okay.
What do we do? Well, matter of fact, what do the elders do? Because I remember, not at Berean, I remember going to a church. When I went to a church, I came in there, found where I wanted to go. I was like, you know, this is gonna be good for me, this, that, and the other. And as soon as I went in, I got this right here. You don't belong here. And the woman told me that. And it kind of broke my spirits a little bit. But, and I always remember what my grandmother, my auntie told me. You're gonna experience negative people everywhere you go. So when you experience negative people, you don't have to curse at them or go back and forth with them. Gotta let the people be alright. You gotta pray for those people. So what about the people that's coming to church? It's ex-dope boys, ex-strippers, ex-females sell their body, ex-people that do drugs and everything like that. And they go into church and they get up and down look. You don't belong here. Because everybody's not gonna be like an OG Craig Costen. Everybody gonna be like the church mothers at Berean or at your church. Everybody gonna be like that. So what do you say to that individual that now feels like this, probably watching this video right now?
Well, the only way I can address that
I want you to address that one, and I would love to address too the elders that probably is doing that inside their church also. So I want you to address both of them.
The first thing I tell anybody who experienced that is that the old biblical story of the people that God went out and became fishermen of men when he was looking for his disciples. Remember, one of them was a tax collector. Does anybody remember how tax collectors were treated back in the day, and probably still are? You know, or the one of them was a person who fished for a living. He had that smell on him. People don't always embrace that. Now, your experience was a nasty one. You know, people who have the nerve to look you up and down and say you don't belong here.
Like you're holier than
are
that.
truly a person who needs the word. One thing you all should remember is when you go to church, you're not in there with nothing but pure, great saints, Christians. They may call themselves that, but they're hurting too. So when I go into a church, I'm looking for a comfort level. I'm looking for the word, needless to say, but then I'm looking for a comfort level. I'm making sure that the people I'm there and sitting beside are in fact Christians of the word. Now, if I don't find that nowhere in that church, guess what? There's another church right down the street. You're gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep going until I find that. Now, for you folks that are doing that in the church, you asked that question, right? Folks that are doing that in the church, it's up to the real Christians in that church to pull Big Mama to the side.
But sometimes they don't see everything though. Sometimes you gotta think about it. Sometimes when they do it, let's say we at church hurt. They're not gonna do that around a Craig Costen. What Craig Costen gonna do? We put you aside and talk to you. Some of them do it, but you won't see it though.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't have answers to all of that. Unfortunately, eventually they're going to do it in front of somebody who hears it, or it's going to get back to the right person.
Cool.
And then that person has got to pull them to the side and say, listen, we are a welcoming body of Christians and saints. Now, what does welcoming means? We welcome the poor, the distrodden, the people who are homeless, and need the word, need someplace to make them feel like, hey, the world has not forgotten them. And when you do that, look up and down, like you said your experience, that's not making them feel welcome. They're gonna want to keep going. So for you people out there, for you elderly or for you young folks that are experiencing that kind of nastiness, understand that it ain't happening everywhere. Understand that if you are the ones making a person feel unwelcome, you are not doing God's work. Because as you remember, if you are reading your scriptures, God's word was not received by everybody. God's word was different from what they were receiving before God came around and before Jesus came around. And eventually people understood what love your neighbor meant. Love your neighbor. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Eventually, they start understanding what that means. Unfortunately, here it is 2 point something million thousands of years later, we haven't quite all gotten that and embraced that. Or we get it to a point where it's okay with Sally Sue and them that I know and I grew up with, but it's not okay with Willie Weiner walking off the street into my church. Now, and I will admit, COVID, let's just use that for example. When COVID hit, one of the biggest discussions all over the world was, and then we stopped church and we went virtual, okay. But when we decided to go back to church, how are we going to deal with people we don't know walking into that church? Do we say, no, we don't know who you are, you're going to stay outside, you're going to look, or you're going to go to the other section of the church and we're going to stream it to you? Or we put a mask on you and we make sure that there's some place that you can do and receive the word comfortably. But we're going to explain that to you. So those are the type of things. Church is a growing and living entity.
One second. And I want to tell y'all something too, because I usher in church. If the usher asks you to put on your mask, don't get mad. Please don't get mad. I'm the wrong usher for you to play with. But go ahead.
So you might have been one of those ones who was talking nasty to folks and they looked up.
Talking nasty, no. I tell people in my church, I'll be like, put on your mask and put it up right here. I say, no, you got to put the whole mask on. And then guess what they do? They don't want to put the mask on, they walk out the church.
Okay.
But I'm doing what the church tell me to do.
And you're going to do the right, safe thing for the outlines of the church.
Not just for them, but for everybody there also. Because it's still COVID right now, regardless. It still is.
But regardless, what you just experienced right here is an example of how people will receive what you may or may not be meaning when you talk to somebody.
Yes.
Some people just don't understand. They want to go and receive the word and not be talked to. Some people who, quite frankly, smell bad to go into church. They don't want to be told, hey, you smell bad. Let's put you over here in the corner. They just want to know that they're there listening to the Lord's word. And if you are a official in that church, you have got to know that you are talking to the downtrodden also. Not everybody's coming in their finest, walking in church, smelling good. You are talking to people who are there for a reason. And that reason is not always that reason you went there. So if you are a usher in a church or an officer, understand that you got people every day, even the people you know, that are going through some things. And you have got to understand that the way you treat them will resonate throughout their lives and throughout the community. Does that make sense to you?
That makes complete sense. But
so
every church has rules and guidelines.
True.
And guess what? You wear this mask. You got to put this mask on. Matter of fact, you know what we do? I think a lot of churches do that too. We actually keep extra masks on us. True. So if you sit down, let's say your mask get wet or falls out, you forgot to do it. Take that right quick.
Okay. All right. But so do you receive that as being nasty?
No, for me, no.
Okay. Do you think somebody walking on the street, you receive that as nasty?
No.
Okay.
Because it's rules and guidelines of decent order everywhere you go.
Thank you. You just said exactly what I'm trying to say. In every situation, every church, Big Mama, who y'all thought was nasty back in the day, was delivering the rules and the guidelines and outlines. Now,
I got you.
don't get me yet.
I know where you're going. I know you're going. You can't use that. You can't use that.
Yeah, I can't.
No, you can't. God said the people that's in church come out the street and you're looking at somebody up and down. Mm-hmm. That is not what Big Mama and everybody else did. Big Mama knew what you did back in the day, but guess what Big Mama do? Big Mama make sure she wouldn't feed you. Big Mama make sure this right up. She's gonna tell you every single time about these Bible verses, put stuff into you, say keep on going. Big Mama never just look at you like, why you in my yard? Move, go somewhere, do something. My Big Mama always makes sure she does right up. She made sure she spoke to everybody, she treated you with the same decency and love that she treated anybody else, but she never looked at you because you came from the streets or you came from any place. There you go. Mr. Old Craig Costen.
Kyle, I know you mean well, my brother, but even the sweetest Big Mamas out there got their day. They just grow up to be sweet old ladies.
I know.
They went through some stuff.
You still going through stuff right now.
And you're still going through some stuff. So yeah, they may not do that to you, But you never know how you come across to people. You never know. And what you think may be just a glance or whatever, that came across to that person real, obviously because you are still talking about it some years later.
No,
so understand.
I had to break it down for you so you could understand. So
Okay.
one thing about, I'll tell y'all something. One thing about the Lions Den, this older gentleman right here, Mr. O.G. Craig Costen, he comes from the 1950s, 1930s, 1920s. I was born in 1986. So when we had these discussions, once you get to understand, we can still come together and still agree. It ain't never a competition. It's only collaboration. So what I was telling you was, yeah, it ain't cool the way you look. You gotta ask it's what you say after you look at it. When a person tell you don't belong here, because guess what? Everybody might not come to your church. It might be somebody like me. Remember when I first met you at CRA, where I came from. You know, I wasn't who I am right now. I was still in the transitional period. So what you did was you helped me out because you spoke to me, told me to go home, get my mind clear, came back the next day, still failed the test, came back that didn't pass it, but you never gave up hope. We're talking about the people that's coming in from off the streets, and they coming in, and instead of the glance is not a problem, but they tell them they don't belong there. That's not the right thing to say.
That's a problem. I agree with you. I'm not sitting there saying everything in your example makes sense. I'm just trying to waken the ears of the people out there doing it, like you just said it, and those people who feel downtrodden because they got that look and they decided to walk away as if that particular church is church. No. You've got to understand that when you get that, just like everything else, you got to dust it off. You got to move down to another church.
Like we said, we got churches almost every corner.
You do have churches on every corner. So don't let one experience define your church experience. That's all I'm trying to say. And then remember that you ultimately are the church, and you're just bringing you into a building where hopefully they are praising the Lord. Kyle, I don't have nothing else to say about that subject. You go.
I am so proud of you, Mr. Craig. You gotta stand up more often. Like you've been sitting down, see, when Mr. O.G. Craig Costen, you see the power and the energy come from with it. Man, I got something y'all. So Mr. Craig, he opened up the video, he done what he want to do. I got something for you. Just because Mr. Craig hit me, that don't mean I gotta hit Mr. Craig back. Just because Mr. Craig kicked me, don't mean I gotta kick Mr. Craig back. Just because Mr. Craig calls my phone and he curses me out, don't mean I gotta call and curse Mr. Craig back. What I'm trying to show you is right now, you're gonna get different people in different states and forms of their life. And when you get these different people that's going through different things in their life, it ain't time for you to do all that. I need you to pray for them. Your prayer would change them more than you cursing them out or kicking them or punching them would do. It would change them a whole lot more. So right now, whoever watching this video right now, and you have experienced church hurt, I need you to understand this right here. That church was not right for you. You can always find you another one. If you don't want to just go into the side of a church and see everything like that, then guess what I can do for you? I can send you Marine Christian Church on YouTube. The church got it on the YouTube channel?
Yep.
There, well, let me know.
Okay. Oh no, we can send it to them. Just send me your link, and we will send you video links of
what we
everything.
do is we'll put it on the description. So check the description below. And it's not, his church might not be better for you. My church might be better for you. But guess what though? You go on YouTube, you find everything else you want to find on YouTube. You go on Facebook, you find everything you want to find on there. So you go up there, matter of fact, Amazon sends you a package right now, and it's the wrong package, what you gonna do? You gonna send it right back to someone, right?
You at least try.
And you're gonna try to find out, you're gonna try to find you something else. Do the same thing when it comes down to the church. Just because that church wasn't made for you, find a church that's made for you. Let your discernment be strong. Let your vision be strong. Let God carry you to the church. Well, I think people don't understand all the time. God can actually carry you to a new church.
Absolutely.
He can actually carry you. So with that being said, we're gonna let Kyle Jacko say the prayer. Excuse me. Thank you. Because Mr. Craig been hogging all the camera scenes. Mr. Craig, you stand behind me, okay? I gotta protect my elders. Stand behind me.
All right.
God, as I come to you right now, God, I want to say thank you for another amazing video. God, to anybody right now that's watching this video, if they experience any type of hurt, any type of pain when it came to just going to the right church home, fellowship with the right people, or doing whatever they got to do, and they experience that church hurt, God, what I want to do for them, I want them to find their church, their home, where they belong in. And God, to the church that said that, the church that hurt them, I pray for every congregation, every person that's in that church, whether it's the usher, the pastor, the deacon, everybody. I pray that the next person come to them, we come to them on a whole different level. And to God, to anybody right now that's sitting up in that don't know what a church home look like, God, I pray they will Google it, they will YouTube it, they will Facebook it, they will Twitter it, they will do everything they can do so they can find their place in church, in the kingdom. Find the right elders, find the right people that could be in their life every single day as they take this life and they take this journey every single day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So with that being said, this has been Lions Den with Kyle Jacko
and OG Craig Costen.
We'll be seeing y'all real soon. Remember this right here. You never know who's gonna open the video up. It might be me or it might be Mr. OG. What you gotta say to him, King?
All I got to say is find that church. Understand that church isn't here. Find it. And then take it out of your environment to the people who don't have church. It's there. We love you both. We love you all.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share these videos to your friends, your family, your baby mama, your baby daddy, whoever you want to share it to. You just make sure when you share it, you let them know that Bridging the Gap, OG Craig Costen, Kyle Jacko, it ain't competition, it's only collaboration.